What if I told you that scientists just found evidence of one of the Bible's biggest miracles? I'm talking about Moses parting the Red Sea. Yeah, that story. For thousands of years, people have wondered, did it really happen? Or was it just a legend? Well, a groundbreaking discovery in 2024 might have just answered that question. And what they found underwater is absolutely mind-blowing. Stick around, because this is going to change how you think about ancient history. Alright, let's recap the story real quick in case you don't remember. The book of Exodus tells us that the Israelites were slaves in Egypt for generations. Moses comes along and tells Pharaoh, "Let my people go." Pharaoh says no. So God sends 10 plagues, water turning to blood, locusts, darkness, and finally, the death of Egypt's firstborn sons. After that last plague, Pharaoh breaks. He tells the Israelites to get out of Egypt immediately. So millions of people start walking toward freedom. But then Pharaoh changes his mind and sends his entire army to chase him down. The Israelites reach the Red Sea and they're trapped. Army behind them, ocean in front of them. No way out. That's when the miracle happens. Moses stretches out his hand, and the Red Sea literally splits apart. Massive walls of water on both sides, creating a dry path straight through the middle. The Israelites walk through safely. But when the Egyptian army follows them in, the waters come crashing back down. The entire army gone. Swallowed by the sea. For believers, this is one of the greatest displays of God's power ever recorded. For skeptics, it's been considered a myth for centuries. Until now. Before we continue, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and like this video if you want to spread God's truth. Let's continue. So where did this supposedly happen? Scientists have been studying the Gulf of Aqaba. It's at the northern tip of the Red Sea, bordered by Egypt, Jordan, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. And here's why this location is so important. The Bible describes a crossing site that's incredibly deep. We're talking about at least 2,000 feet. The Gulf of Aqaba? It reaches depths of 5,000 feet in some spots. To put that in perspective, the Empire State Building is only 1,450 feet tall. Those water walls would have been like multiple skyscrapers stacked on top of each other. Absolutely insane. Plus, right across from the Gulf of Aqaba, there's Mount Sinai, where Moses got the 10 Commandments. The geography lines up perfectly with the biblical timeline. And get this, there's a narrow gorge near the crossing site. In Hebrew, it's called Pihiro, which means the opening of the mouth. The Bible describes the Israelites going through a narrow passage to reach the water. Another perfect match. But here's what really got scientists excited. They started finding stuff underwater. In the summer of 2024, everything changed. Dr. Elena Martinez and her team of marine archaeologists had been searching the seabed for years. They were following clues from an ancient manuscript that mentioned chariots lost beneath the waves. Year after year, nothing. They were about to give up. Then one afternoon, their sonar picked up weird shapes on the ocean floor. They sent down a submersible to check it out. What they found absolutely blew their minds. Rows of chariot wheels. Preserved under layers of sediment for over 3,000 years. But it wasn't just wheels. There were human remains. Horse bones. All clustered together like they'd been caught in some massive catastrophe. Then they found hieroglyphs, ancient Egyptian writing that mentioned an exodus and a sea crossing. And then came the discovery that made headlines around the world. A golden amulet with the name Moses inscribed on it. The media went crazy. Scientists, historians, religious leaders, everyone wanted to weigh in. Because this wasn't just some random archaeological find. This was potential proof of one of the most famous stories in human history. Let me break down all the evidence they've found so far, because it's pretty wild. First, those chariot wheels. They've been dated to approximately 3,500 years ago, exactly when the Exodus would have happened. And the design matches Egyptian chariots from the 18th dynasty, which was ruling during Moses's time. Second, they found a submerged land bridge. This is huge because it explains how millions of people could cross relatively quickly. They weren't walking through the deepest parts of the ocean. They were following a natural elevated path. Third, the horse bones. These aren't scattered randomly across the seafloor. They're concentrated in one specific area, which suggests a large number of horses died in the same place at the same time. That's exactly what you'd expect if an entire cavalry was caught in a sudden flood. Fourth, they found weapons and tools encrusted with coral. This suggests it wasn't just a crossing site, it might have been a battlefield. And here's something really interesting. A researcher named Ron Wyatt found an ancient pillar partially submerged in the water. When he cleaned it off, he discovered Hebrew inscriptions showing that King Solomon had erected it to mark the crossing site. Think about that. King Solomon lived hundreds of years after the Exodus. Why would he put up a marker unless he knew something significant happened there? Oh, and there's even a rare fish species that locals call the soul of Moses. Both its eyes are on the same side of its head. According to legend, when Moses parted the sea, this fish was split in half and survived. Wild, right? So let's talk about what actually happened to Pharaoh's army. Egyptian chariots were incredibly advanced for their time. They could reach speeds up to 25 miles per hour, way faster than people on foot. The Israelites had a 10-day head start, but the chariots were catching up fast. When the Egyptian army entered the path through the sea, things went wrong immediately. See, these chariots were designed for solid ground desert terrain, hard-packed roads. But the seabed? It was wet, soft, unstable. According to the Bible, the chariot wheels started falling off. Horses panicked. The entire army got stuck, unable to move forward or back. Then the waters came crashing down. We're talking about roughly 600 chariots plus thousands of soldiers. A huge chunk of Egypt's military force, all of it swallowed by the sea in minutes. And that's exactly what the underwater evidence shows. Broken chariot wheels separated from their frames. Fragments scattered across the ocean floor. Horse bones clustered together. Everything points to a massive, sudden disaster. Now, does all this evidence definitively prove the Red Sea crossing happened exactly as the Bible describes it? Well, that depends on who you ask. Skeptics say we need more proof. Some argue that these artifacts could be from different historical events. Maybe some of the formations are natural, not man-made. And that's fair. Science requires solid evidence, especially for extraordinary claims. But believers point to the sheer amount of evidence all pointing in the same direction. The location matches. The timing matches. The artifacts match. The geography matches. When you put it all together, it's pretty compelling. And honestly, this discovery has done something amazing. It's brought together scientists and religious scholars to have real conversations about ancient history and faith. That's valuable no matter what conclusions we reach. Here's what gets me excited about all this. What they've found so far. That's just the beginning. Hundreds more artifacts are still underwater, waiting to be discovered. With the technology we have now, advanced sonar, underwater drones, submersibles, we can explore areas that were completely off-limits just 20 years ago. Who knows what else is down there? If this evidence gets fully validated, it'd be one of the most significant archaeological discoveries in human history. We're talking about confirming an event that's central to 3 major world religions. But even if some questions remain, these findings have already changed the conversation about ancient history and the reliability of biblical accounts. So what do you think? Have scientists found proof of the Red Sea crossing? Or do we need more evidence? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear from both skeptics and believers. If this video blew your mind, hit that like button and subscribe. We're uncovering history's greatest mysteries, and you don't want to miss what's next. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.